Okay, so I think we're good to go to do some very basic lighting and look depth. So the goal at this stage of the process is just to do something really basic. So it's still not about making stuff pretty. It's just really about conveying like a very basic idea of what this shot is going to look like in terms of lighting, the sky and colors, so the shaders. So to do so, first I created a Redshift dome light, and inside that dome light I'm going to plug a sky dome that comes from this site here, cgskies.com. So this is a really good and useful resource that I personally use all the time. So just grab one of those, grab a sky that kind of looks what you're going for. It doesn't need to be exactly what you're going for. Like in my case, I know that the sky is going to be mostly overcast, possibly with some sunlight piercing through it, but I'm not quite sure yet. So I just grab any overcast sky really. Now, if you take a look at how this looks for now, obviously it's not perfect, doesn't look good for now, but that's normal. It's because we don't have any shaders applied to this geometry. And also our kit bash assets, so completely black. That is simply because right now they have those default funk materials, but we're gonna work on that later. For now, I'm gonna open the Megascan bridge. Megascans truly is one of my favorite resources out there. It's really useful, and the quality is just mind-blowing. So they have all those amazing 3D scans, surfaces, 3D models, really high quality, and frankly, I think it's quite cheap for the quality that we get. And with the bridge, which is this little application here, you can actually download and import the surfaces or the assets right into the scene in a few clicks, and they will be ready to be used for your render engine. So in this case, for example, I first selected the geometry onto which I want to apply the shader. Then I'm going to copy this code here, this little script, and I'm going to paste it into the Python slot of my Maya scene. And then you will see this little window opening. And you just choose your render engine, and then you click export, and now you have it. It's extremely fast. So now the shader is ready to go, ready to render, and it's applied to the geometry I selected before. So if I try to render this very quickly, it should work. Yes, it works. So this is perfect. I mean, no, it's not perfect obviously at the moment, but it doesn't matter. As I said, the idea is just to get some very basic shaders going on here. Obviously the scale of the textures is not right at the moment, but that's totally fine. So just do this. First, for the ground, just grab one or two different shaders that you think sort of look what you want this terrain to look like, and you just apply that to the geometry. And next we can move on to those kit bash assets. So as I said, by default, they come with those default funk materials, which are not good for Redshift, and they're all black simply because probably the textures are not linked properly anymore to the shader. So let's just grab one of those and show the graph network. Very simple shader in this case. What I'm going to do is copy paste the name of the shader, convert the shader to a Redshift material, and then paste back the name so we keep everything properly named. And then you simply replug the diffuse map into the diffuse slot. And then you also may want to go back into the folder to relink the texture properly. So here I'm going to navigate to the folder in which I unzipped my assets, and I'm going to simply grab the right texture and relink it. And now the shader is working properly. I'm not touching anything at the moment when it comes to the IOR, and anything else doesn't matter. I'm going to do another shader here. So same process, you copy the name, convert to Redshift material, paste back the name, and then you simply replug the map. So in this case, we have the diffuse map, but we also have a normal map. In order to use this one, what you will want to do, after I quickly just relink this map here, there you go. Yeah, so for the normal map, what you want to do is actually create a Redshift bump map node, not the normal map node, even though it doesn't really make any difference, but it's just that the bump map mode is more recent. The normal map node is a bit outdated. So you want to plug your map into the bump map node and then plug the node into the bump input. And then we can just repeat this process all over again for all the shaders. So same process once again, I just go back into the folder to relink the map. I create my bump map node, plugging the normal map, and you have it. Once again, I repeat the process again and again. So At this point, I'm not really talking about proper shading. It's still not the goal at this point, so don't worry if you feel a bit lost, if this is going a bit fast. Just worry about replugging the maps properly. That's all you need to do, so we have at least some informations in our render, so it's not completely black. That's all that matters. One thing that I also did here is switch into the bump map node from height mode to tangent space, and you want to do so if you have a normal map and not a bump map. If you have a bump map, which is a black and white image, you can leave it at height field basically. So from now it's all about repeating the same process all over again. It's a bit tedious, but you will be happy once you've done it. Okay, so for this shader, I'm actually gonna use a roughness map, which is actually gonna be the same map as the bump map. It's just that I'm gonna output the alpha and plug this into the reflection roughness slot. Just relink the texture. And also one thing I want to do is add a reverse node. That is basically gonna invert my texture, because if you're gonna use this map as a roughness map, it has to be inverted, unless you use it as a gloss map. Then you can leave it as it is. This is just to explain it in a very simple way. There's more to that obviously, but we'll get, as I said, into shading more properly later on, so don't worry too much about it for now. So as you can see here, I basically use the same map for bump and for roughness. And for the glass, you can actually use the Redshift preset that exists inside the Redshift material for glass, so that's quite easy and convenient. Redshift has a bunch of presets actually for water as well, which we'll probably use later on. So once again, just keeping on repeating the same process all over again.